Hi, old man here. One secret that every bass fisherman should know, and I seldom see talked about, is water temperature. Today, that's what we're going to discuss. The other day, I went out fishing. It was hot. Again, it's hot here in Florida. When I pulled into the creek where I put my boat in, I noticed that there's a lot of vegetation floating on the water. When I see the vegetation like that, I know that temperature of the water has increased to a level that the vegetation is starting to die off. And of course, when the vegetation starts to dry off, the oxygen level in the water starts to decrease and the bass start to leave. What I don't know, or what I didn't know, so I did a little research, is at what temperature do these things occur? You see, we know, well, at least I know, in the winter time when the water gets really cold, the bass become really lethargic and they kind of move to deeper water where there's thermoclines, layers of warm water, and they kind of just hide out there and chill out until the spring comes, the water warms up, and then they kind of move inshore. So I know that as the water temperature increases, their metabolism increases and they eat more. So if the water level is 75 degrees, or the water temperature, is 75 degrees, man, the bass are really active. That's when they're striking top water. That's when blowing up, and that's when it's really, really fun. But what happens when it's like yesterday or 2 days ago when the water temperature is 88 degrees? I mean, here in Florida, I'm on a creek that's being fed into the St. Johns River, and the creek temperature was 88 degrees, and it's deep. It's like the channel on the creek's probably on average over 20 feet deep. But still, that layer, the shallows and everything is above 85 degrees. So does that mean that the bass are going to be more active? I mean, if they're active at 75, at 85, they got to be going crazy, right? No. See, above 85, it has a negative effect on the bass. So they become really slow, really lethargic. In fact, they tend to get out of that really warm water and move back into cooler water, which is usually points or drop-offs or deep channels. And that's where they are. But more importantly, as I said, when that water temperature starts to get really warm like that, the oxygen level decreases in the water. And, look at my girth, I need oxygen. If I don't get enough oxygen, I can't hardly get in and out of my car, right? So you can imagine a big bass that you want to catch. He's going to be in water where there's plenty of oxygen. More importantly, I also read that when the temperature increases above 85 degrees, the plants start to die. The lilies, all these things that are providing oxygen into the water, they start to die off, they start to wilt, they start to turn brown. Basically, the water looks pretty stagnant, and that's when you see the vegetation start to floating around on top of the water, almost like someone had mowed the grass. So these are all telltale signs that the water you're in is probably not ideal for catching bass, big bass for sure. Now, I'll show you. I mean, I did catch one small bass, again, going back to the girthy ones like me who need a lot of oxygen. Chances are they're not going to be anywhere near that water, that hot water with very little oxygen. So I just thought I'd take a minute and just talk to you a little bit about it. It's something that you can check pretty quickly. If you find yourself in Florida and you're fishing for bass, watch that water temperature, and it has a huge impact on when you can expect the bite and when you need to start shifting how you fish, because they're going to shift how they react. If not, you're going to waste a lot of time on the water. You're going to be in these idyllic conditions where you think these are high percentage spots. Not going to be anything there but maybe some bluegill, or occasional mudfish or gar. not things that you want to catch, not things that you're targeting. So adapt just like they adapt. You need to adapt how you fish. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. You know, pay attention to just like you pay attention to the weather, pay attention to the water temperature, and you'll have much more success when you're in cooler water, or you know that they've shifted out of this hot, low oxygenated water. And sure, your lines will get tighter. You'll have more fun. Anyway, this is Old Man out. Thanks for stopping by. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. Little guy, but gosh. Put the little rascal, but I'm happy to get one.